I started out as a children's librarian and then worked as children's librarian, then marketing specialist for Baltimore County Library, became a director in 1995 at a small rural county in Eastern Shore. And soon after getting there, I recognized that we did not have enough money in order to do what I would like to do and what I was used to being able to do in larger suburban areas. But then it also, even more important, became very obvious to me that there were grassroots community organizations working with children, government organizations, that libraries were not a part of. And we needed to be reaching out to those groups. So I started reaching out to what in Maryland at that point in time, this is 1995, 96, was called a local management board. The outcome-based style of management. And they had 7 or 8 results that they were evaluating government agencies on whether they achieved them or not. And one of the results was children will start school ready to learn. And public libraries in the PLA planning process had this service response, we call them, that said libraries are the preschoolers' door to learning. And that got me to thinking, the more I interacted with these folks, because they were quoting brain research, which was very prevalent then in the regular folks' journals, such as Time and Newsweek, all the findings on the importance of the first 3 or 4 years. There was also a lot more recent research, which contradicted some previous research on how children learn to read. And then there was this very, very groundbreaking book called Preventing Reading Difficulties in Young Children. And we read that, and Stephanie and I were colleagues back then also, thankfully. And in there was a quote that someone needs to promote public understanding of early literacy development. And I thought, well, obviously that's the public library. And I thought using the term preschoolers' door to learning maybe is not the right soundbite for folks. Maybe we need to start saying, help children start school ready to learn, because that's what was in the jargon at that time. And also connect with educators and community agencies that are working with the well-being of a community and position a library in that segment of a child's life and the parent's life, most importantly, from birth to 5. So I started talking with my colleagues. Stephanie was, you were youth coordinator then, weren't you?
In 1998, I came.
Right. So I started talking with Stephanie, and then I started talking with some of my other library directors. We have a group called MAPLA, Maryland Association of Public Library Administrators. And I said, I think we have an opportunity here to really position Maryland's public libraries in a significant role to come up with a solution to what the rest of the world is seeing as a major problem, rest of the state anyway, that public librarians have seen as a major problem, and that is that not enough children are being read to from birth, that not enough children have parents who understand the importance of a regular library visit for that child's life, etc. So we started working at MAPLA, figuring out how can we make this happen. And you want to talk about the conference that was held?
Right. In 1998, when the group of library directors working with MAPLA, it was decided that we would look towards a conference. And there were 4 elements that the library administrators agreed would be the core of all of the work that we did. And it was that parents are a child's first and best teacher. The second is that libraries are a parent's best community resource. The third is that everything we did was going to be based on research, and there was much less of it at the time. And the fourth is that libraries cannot work alone, that all of this was going to be partnered. And in the first conference that was ever held statewide in Maryland, all 4 of those elements came together. We had parents that participated who are used to working in various other fields to support their children. We had researchers, and we worked with community partners from that point out to see if we gave grants, which we gave a $1,000 grant called Greenhouse Grants, so that systems working with their community partners could immediately go back and try to introduce something innovative that they had never had the funds to do within their system. All 24 systems applied for, received, and implemented successful grants. And that really was the basis for people to have confidence to start moving forward.
And it was at that conference, if you remember, I don't know if you remember this or not, the Johns Hopkins pediatrician we had, and she's the one that tipped us off about NICHD, which is the National Institute for Child Health and Human Development. And she's the one that said, you need to talk to a Dr. Reed Lyon over there. And we never even heard about it. And she said, he's doing amazing work on supporting research and publishing research on how children learn to read, which was a real news item to us because I thought, well, that probably should come out of DOE, but it doesn't. So I went back and, in the context of this book, sent him an email and said, Dr. Lyon and Janice somebody, I forget her name, from Johns Hopkins recommended we communicate with you about how libraries can help with your mission to promote information about early literacy. Well, I was stunned. Within 5 minutes, he sent back an email and said, great idea. We never thought of libraries. And I really admire people that admit that. You know, a lot of folks in our profession get very peeved about that and say how they're there. But these are very busy professional folks, and they don't, and really, that's our problem, that they have not, and our fault, that they do not think of us. So we changed Reed Lyon's view of the world. Went over there was about 5 of us from Maryland that met with him, and he was stunned, but so excited about the opportunity to work with libraries because they did not have that institution that reaches all people, like public libraries do. So one thing led to another where eventually it became the Public Library Association and the Association for Library Service to Children in ALA banded together and created, I think I have a brochure here, Every Child Ready to Read. And they used the researchers that Reed Lyon had pulled together. I think it's Dr. Whitehurst and Dr. Lonigan. They worked with PLA and ALSC and came up with this brand new service called Every Child Ready to Read, which the main focus of this, and this is a little different from what us in library land was used to, the children's librarians were working with the families, the parents or the child care providers or the daycare providers, not just the children.